Hey, it's Nick Fundytus here from Royal LePage Performance Realty in Ottawa. And this week's Nick Answers Reddit is about the buyer's contractor wanting to come in for a visit. So, user Mulberry number 6957 asks, so the buyer and I signed a contract, so the Mulberry here is the seller, but haven't closed yet. Expectation is that closing will be early August. If I was Mulberry, I would be checking to see what the exact date is, because there should be an exact date on a contract. He wants his contractor to come in and look around this week. So is that normal? Do I have to let them do this? Some context here is that I'm finding the whole process of moving, it's not out of necessity, not choice, very stressful. I would really rather be left alone as long as possible. Isn't the apartment officially mine until closing? And the main question, do I have to let the contractor come in? So there are a couple points to this one. And I chose this question this week because it is a very common situation where a buyer wants to have a visit. Sometimes they ask for additional visits before closing to do things like get measurements, have a contractor come in. This is not talking about inspections and things that would happen during the conditional part of the purchase, but rather something that might happen in addition. So the answer to this question might depend on a few things. So number one, the laws in your location. The real estate laws vary by province to province, and they would vary by state to state in the US. So this user might be in the United States. And whether the deal is still conditional or whether it's firm. So one thing that makes me think that this might be a conditional deal is actually just that the user has mentioned that the closing is supposed to be in early August. And I mean, like on a firm deal, we know exactly what day the closing is supposed to be. So if the deal is firm, the rules are different than if the deal is still conditional, or at least like what the prudent thing to do is. So in Canada, or at least in Ontario, I can tell you what's normal. So in short, it's not an unusual request for a buyer to make to ask for an additional visit. But as a seller, you are generally going to be within your rights to refuse any additional visits that aren't specified in the agreement of purchase and sale. So as a seller, you have control over who has access to your home. And if it is not specified in the agreement of purchase and sale itself, you do not need to allow access. Now, there are certain things that you should allow access for. If a buyer is purchasing your home and has not been written that the appraiser would get to visit the home for the buyer's lender, for example, I mean, it would be acting in bad faith to not allow the appraiser to visit the property because you could be severely hampering the buyer's ability to get their mortgage. And that's, it's not right to do that. However, if somebody just wants to come and look around, I mean, you don't have to allow the buyer to come visit every time they want to come and have a look. And so I would say speak with your listing realtor or your lawyer if you don't have a realtor, or if your realtor is not completely sure. Sorry, we've got like a lunch thing going on in the office, so I'm squeezing this one in today. And ask whether, so according to your agreement of purchase and sale, whether you have to allow a contractor's visit to occur. So if it's not specified for, you are clear to instruct your realtor not to allow the visit if that's what you want. On the other hand, if the purchase is not yet firm, so there's still conditions that need to be waived or fulfilled by the buyer, this is a goodwill gesture to allow the contractor visit to occur. It might just be for an estimate. Yes, the buyer might be trying to do a sneaky inspection, but if the buyer has conditions on your home, there's a good chance that they can leverage that to walk away from the deal if they feel that you're not acting in good faith. So, and if you refuse a visit, it can look to a buyer like you were trying to hide something. So, as a seller, if the deal was still conditional, I would probably advise my client to allow the contractor's visit if they can. Once we've talked about what the risks of that might be. And then that's pretty it. Like I said, common question, and the answer as always depends on a few things, but generally I would say if the deal is firm and it's not in the agreement of purchase and sale, you're clear to deny it. And if it's still conditional, I would say lean towards accepting it. I'm a realtor in Ontario, Ottawa, Ontario. That's why I know the answer to that question. And if you have any other questions, you can always send them to me here or on Reddit. You just type Nick Fundytus and I'm very easy to find. There's only two of us in the whole world. And That's all. All right.